Good morning, good afternoon, good evening. Thank you all for joining us today in what is expected to be an exhilarating workshop. I'm so much looking forward to this today. Thank you, Briar, for leading this program today, and thanks for your time for TiE Women. I am Shamima Parwin. In my day job, I am a co-founder and CEO of EduTech Middle East and EduTech India. But I also co-chair the TiE Women program in Untitled and part of the Global Management Committee for TiE Women. For those of you who need an introduction to TiE Women, very briefly, TiE Women is an initiative of TiE, was launched to embrace, engage, and empower women entrepreneurs across the globe, inclusive of all stages of an enterprise, origin, standing, or background. On your screen would also be a poll. We would very much appreciate if you can answer those questions just for us to be able to cater this program towards your needs. Now, coming back to TiE Women, we are based on 6 pillars of learning, mentoring, access to funding, scalability, safe space, and community. We have specially designed and curated programs to serve our community of women entrepreneurs based on the 6 pillars, which are open mic night, active learning workshops, just like what you're going to experience today, Connect series, and our flagship program of the annual Global Pitch Competition. We have a very interesting open mic night that is coming up on the 11th of August in another couple of days, which is an international open mic night. From pitching from Hyderabad in India, Lahore in Pakistan, Dubai, and New York as well. It's going to be a very interesting mix of women entrepreneurs pitching, asking for advice from mentors from around the globe as well. And if you all have participated in your global pitch competition in your chapters, I'm sure you're looking forward to the next steps and wishing you all the best. For today's program, our host today is Shabana Karim. Shabana is the owner and founder of the House of Inspa, a holding company comprising of the Nail Spa, Marquee, and Espy. Since 2002, Shabana's positive impact on the beauty industry in the UAE has been recognized through numerous awards, including an award by Dubai Quality Group as Businesswoman of the Year. Shabana is a charter member in TiE Dubai and in the executive committee for TiE Women Global. Shabana, take it away.
Thank you so much, Shamima, for the introduction. Hello, everyone, and welcome to our second session of the Active Learning Workshop series. Today, we have a very, very exciting line of presentation. We have with us a qualified digital marketeer and communication professional. Briar Prestidge has a career that spans across Dubai, New York, London, Australia, Saudi Arabia. She is a serial entrepreneur and the CEO of Prestidge Group, which specializes in PR, personal branding, and it's a production agency. They work with government and private sectors to elevate corporate profiles. They build client value as speakers, as media spokespeople, and thought leaders. In 2019, Briar was named, noted as the 100 most influential in the UAE and has been featured in the Forbes magazine amongst many other publications. Today, she's going to talk to you about, let me just pull it up. She's going to talk to you about personal branding for founders and for, as individuals, and how you can use an integrated strategy to bring in new connections, media opportunities, and speaking engagements to ultimately market your business and to establish yourself as a thought leader and recognized expert. Welcome, Briar.
Thank you so much for such a warm introduction. Hi, everybody. Hope all is well wherever you are in the world. Today, I'm very excited to be taking you through personal branding. And my hope is that from today's session, you will walk away really feeling like you have all the tools and the strategies that you need to go out and build your personal brand. Okay, so we're going to just jump straight into it. So in today's session, we're going to be talking about what is a personal brand. We're going to be looking at what a personal brand can do for you, how you can create your personal brand, and how you can elevate it online. And so people, when they see it visually, it looks like really, really strong. And we're going to be looking at the latest trends and tips that we're seeing for 2021 and going into next year. All right, so as you all know, my name is Briar Prestidge, and as Shabana mentioned, I'm the founder and CEO of Prestidge Group. So we really specialize in building personal brands. Our clients are very much across industry. We work from anywhere from automotive to government to one of the world's first rally car drivers. So very diverse brands that we're building. I also have a suit collection for businesswomen, which I launched late last year, so premium suits that we sell online. And through building my own personal brand, it has resulted in a wealth of opportunities. So I'm originally from a very, very small town in New Zealand, which I doubt any of you have ever heard of, called Darfield. Okay, so I very much grew up on a farm. I graduated university with communications and digital marketing. And I took a huge plunge and I moved to New York City. After living and working in New York, I then moved to London. And it was when I was in London, and this was about 7 years ago, that I could see there was a real change in the media and social media landscape. PR was starting to work a little bit differently. I could see there were lots of fashion and beauty bloggers. They were all curating these online personas. And this was resulting in increased media attention. They were being featured in magazines. They were being asked to deliver keynotes. And I thought, surely entrepreneurs and CEOs are going to wake up one day and think, I see the value in doing this for myself. So that's how the agency all began. So it very much started as a bit of a side hustle. So I was doing lots of personal branding for companies and CEOs on the side, and then it very quickly started to take steam. So I had my first employee within the month. Now, interestingly, when I first started doing this, I still think it was a little bit before its time. You know, it was only the more innovative entrepreneurs that were considering something like this. But now, and especially since the pandemic last year, there has been a huge change in how many companies are wanting to do something like this. And interestingly, even corporations are writing personal branding into their company budgets, which I think is just fascinating, you know, considering how far it's come. So first, I want to talk about what is a personal brand. So essentially, a personal brand is what people say about you behind your back. It is your experiences, your expertise. It's what you bring to the table. And whether you thought so or not, but you already actually have a personal brand. So 87% of people Google you prior to meeting you, which I think is just fascinating. So that's blind dates you might have gone on. Actually, the person had already Googled you and actually knew what you'd already looked like. So it's the same with all business meetings. What you want is when they Google you, something favorable to come up. So the first thing I want you to do after going home and working on your personal brand is I want you to Google and see what comes up. Is it perhaps that 10K run you did 10 years ago? Is it some old MySpace pictures that come up in the images? Is it your blog that you wrote and that you forgot about? Do a personal brand audit to see where you are at and what needs to be done moving forward. So who do you think has a bigger following on social media? So on Twitter, is it Tim Cook or Apple? So Tim Cook has about twice as many followers as Apple on Twitter. How about Bill Gates and his company, Microsoft? Look at that. Bill Gates has over 31 million followers on LinkedIn. So this is the value of personal branding. The media and audiences want to follow individuals because they feel like they relate to them. So what we specialize in our business is building what I call high-profile personal brand strategies. So this basically leverages the traditional PR side of things with social media best practices. So how this might look is, say you get in, so basically say there is a news announcement or something that's to do with your industry. What you want to do is write an article, perhaps for LinkedIn, pop it out on LinkedIn, maybe create a video where you're sharing the top 10 tips for 2022 in your industry, pop it out on LinkedIn. And then the media and event producers who are following you see your content and see you as an expert in your field. They will then invite you to come and be interviewed by the media or to speak on a panel. And then, so that you can monetize on this, you film your opportunity and you create a little video highlight for LinkedIn and you put the content back out. So that gives it that third-party credibility and naturally will bring in some more opportunities. Personal branding builds loyalty. So the nice part about us as entrepreneurs, you know, we might not just have one business. We might even change our business over the years. It might end up with a different target audience than when we started. And the good thing about personal branding is you get to take your brand with you, okay? And I just think the Kardashians are such a fascinating family to look at when it comes to personal branding. So the youngest, who is Kylie Jenner, she convinced Coty to pay for her company, Kylie Cosmetics, by more than 50% of what it was actually worth. So this deal was worth $900 million. Not a bad paycheck, right? So this was all largely influenced by Kylie's personal brand because she has over 8 million followers just on Instagram alone. And as a family, whether we like them or not, the Kardashian family did $80 million in 2019 just off brand endorsements, their social media, collaborations that they were doing. This was all just built off their personal brand, $80 million in a single year. So how do we start by building our personal brand? Well, your personal brand starts with you, obviously. We want your personal brand to be an authentic representation of who you are. So you can start off by writing down your goals. So what's your 5-year or 10-year plan? Where do you see yourself going? Define your unique selling proposition. So what that is why should people work with you over your competitors? Okay, what makes you so special? Next, I want you to think about how you want to be perceived by people online. What do you want people to think about when they meet you? How do you make people feel? Next, you can ask yourself some of these big key questions. So what are your values? What key words would other people use to describe you? Why do you do what you do? Where do you see yourself professionally? What motivates you? Now, to have an engaging personal brand, you don't want it to be all dry and corporate. Maybe that kind of works for your organization. Or maybe you want it to be quite fun, sunny. Maybe you leverage emojis to make you sort of stand out. So here is a brand personality matrix that you can use so that you can decide how you want to be positioned online when you're building your brand. Next, think about other personal brands that you really admire. And what is it that you like about them? Are they quite controversial? Do they make you think and make you feel like responding to them on social media? Do you like how they're visually presented their brand on LinkedIn? So have a little Google and explore on social media, and you can use these personal brands as inspiration for your own. So after we've done this deep dive into ourselves and we've thought about how we want to be perceived by other people online, we need to think about our target market. So who is the audience that we are trying to communicate to? You want to get really specific with your target market. And sometimes when I'm talking to entrepreneurs and I say to them, who are you trying to market to? They say everybody. But the fact is when you're trying to talk to everybody out there, you're literally going to reach nobody, okay? So you want to create about 3 to 5 marketing personas, just as you would do if you were creating a marketing strategy for your company. You want to get really specific, give them an age. Do they work for a big company or small company? What kind of industry do they work in? And give them a name, Mark, Justin, Maggie, so that when you're creating your content, you can think exactly who you're marketing to. So as you're creating a piece of content, you can say, right, this piece of content is going to Mark, or this is a piece of content for Maggie. So it really does make it a little bit more personal. Most importantly, you want to think about what are the key challenges that these people are facing that you can solve. How can you give value to them? Then you want to come up with your content strategy. So you always want to be posting with a purpose. So you want to think about your content style. So again, we're thinking, right, how can I give value to my marketing personas? You either want to entertain them, educate them, or inspire them, not just inform, all right? You want to think about the format of your content. Is your message going to be best served as a short Instagram reel? Is it going to be best served in the form of a LinkedIn article or a LinkedIn poll? Have a think about how you can best convey your message. What language or tone of voice are you going to be using? You know, and I think this is the thing about personal branding. Have a bit of fun with it. Make sure it reflects you as an individual, because no one just loves corporate sort of stiff sentences. You know, you want it to sound a little bit more chatty and appealing to people. Consider the frequency and the timing of your posts. So say you've got a post going out on LinkedIn. The best time to post on LinkedIn is during work hours or maybe towards the end of the workday, but don't post so much on the weekend. For Instagram, the best time to post is perhaps in the morning before work or in the evening after work. So experiment a little bit with the timing so that you can see what gets the most reach and engagement from your audience. Next, you want to think a little bit about your purpose of the post. So for that post that you're making, what would you like it to achieve? Is it brand awareness? Do you want people to like and comment so that it gets boosted up on the algorithm and gets more brand awareness? Or is it so that you can push traffic onto your website so that they can go and watch the full video? Maybe is it to collect some leads so that you can encourage people to maybe tag some people they know below that might be interested in your service? Have a think about the bigger picture. All right, I hope you are still all with me. So with your personal brand, you want to also think about your story as well. So Elon Musk actually lived on $1 a day for an entire year, which I have no idea how he did that. And Bill Gates actually taught himself how he could jump out of rubbish bins without touching the rim. So think about some personal stories that you have, as these will help build relatability and really make you memorable for people. People remember stories, not facts. With your personal brand, you want to talk about the things that you know, and you basically want to create what we call content pillars, okay? So say you are a founder of a green tech brand, okay? Maybe you might want to talk about the latest green technology that is out there for corporations to utilize. Maybe you might want to talk about the rise of greenhouse gases over the years. Perhaps you might want to talk about how we can be encouraging the youth to perhaps come up with some more green tech solutions, as that's one of your core values. Maybe you also have an interest in music, so you're bringing your love for music into your personal brand. So have a sit down and think of all the different key things you can talk about that relate to your personal brand and how this sort of branches out from there. I think one of the hardest things about building your personal brand is actually coming up with the content. And what I find really, really works for me when coming up with content for my own personal brand is as soon as you have an idea, write it down on the notes in your phone, or write it down somewhere. Because when you're actually sitting down and trying to come up with your content, creativity is almost the hardest part, I feel. So some good tips that you can keep in mind when coming up with content ideas is you can have a look at the people you really like following on social media or some competitors that you follow. Take a little bit of inspiration from their posts and create your own. You can also read some articles, trending news or events that are happening around the world. And this is actually a really good personal branding tip because you always want to be relevant on social media. Okay, so anything that's happening, like changes in your industry or changes, global news or regional news, these are all good things that you can be sharing your expertise and creating your personal brand around. You can also ask your audience questions on social media. You could do a poll and then create a LinkedIn post about the poll and what you uncovered. And yeah, just share your experiences. Think of those stories from the past that you can share are good content ideas. But again, always be thinking, how can you give value? Okay, how can we help our audience solve the problems and the challenges they face? What are they interested in? So another question that I get asked from a lot of founders that I work with is, oh, but I'm a little bit shy. You know, how can I put myself out there if I'm a bit shy? Well, just remember that your personal brand is not your diary, okay? You do not have to put everything out there for the world to see. You do not have to hang out your dirty laundry and air it, okay? You can consider how you will be cultivating your personal brand and how you will guide it. Yes, we want it to be authentic, but we do not have to put everything out there. Likewise, think about where you are going to put your energy, because as founders of companies, let's face it, we only have an infinite amount of energy. There are lots of things that demand our attention. So think about where your target audience is. Are they on LinkedIn? Are they on Instagram? If I was to pick two platforms that I would be on, I would pick LinkedIn and Instagram personally. The way it's slightly different around the world, but Instagram is a huge global platform. Here in Dubai, where I'm based, it's actually very largely the way that, lots of dentists or entrepreneurs or, whatever profession you are, it's actually how they collect leads rather than Google. People run a little Instagram search. And on LinkedIn, the algorithm is very free. So if I like your piece of content, it goes out to my entire network and vice versa. So this can be a really great platform for you to get reach. Whereas on Facebook and Instagram over the years, the reach has very much declined. Okay, so LinkedIn is a good place for you to be putting your content. And it's also where a lot of investors hang out as well. And, let's face it, investors do invest in obviously the company and the idea, but they also invest in the people that are involved. So it can be really good to have a very strong presence on LinkedIn for investors. All right, so now we've kind of thought about our strategy, how we're going to be creating content, when we're going to be posting it, what kind of platform, and who we're communicating to. Now is time for us to elevate our brands. We always say, whether we're marketing for a company or whether we're marketing for an individual, your brand is the skeleton of your business, okay? So you want to set your brand up so that all your outreach efforts land and get great success. First thing you want to do is think about your bio. So your bio is not your CV. Your bio is basically a succulent 600-word biography about who you are and what you do. All right, so when you're writing your bio, you want to start it off with a really strong summary sentence. Then you want to jump into a little bit more about your experience, what you've done over the years, again, the value that you bring to the table, a bit more about your business and what you're trying to achieve, your mission, your vision. Then after that, you want to give it a bit more of a personal touch. So you might want to talk about the fact you like spending time with your family and friends on the weekends. Maybe you're into water skiing, just to give it that bit of a personal touch. You want to mention as well what you'd be interested in. For instance, you can contact me for any keynote or media opportunities. And you'll want to have a call to action as well. So to get in touch with me, you can send me a LinkedIn direct message, or you can email me on this email address. So then it's really nice and easy for people to get in touch. Now, your bio can go in your LinkedIn bio section. So, you know, make the most of the fact that you've got about 600 characters there. Your bio can also go in a Word document, and this can be sent out to any events or podcasts or panels that you might be speaking on. And your bio can also go to any, you know, media interviews that you do, or maybe you write an article for one of the magazines, you can send your bio there as well. So yeah, your bio, you'll use your bio a lot. So it's actually worth investing in somebody helping you write it. I know that startup budgets often are really tight, but I would highly recommend investing in a good quality headshot. And, you know, there's so many fantastic studios out there that do them for pretty cheap. You know, you just need about 1 to 3 at the end of the day. You don't need 10 or 20 different headshots, just a couple of really strong ones. Now, the reason I would really recommend you have a really strong headshot is, again, this is going to go up as your profile pictures on social media. People are going to be seeing this. Event organizers are going to be receiving it. And for me and our business, when we've been creating, you know, podcasting shows or panel discussions, there is nothing worse than being on the receiving end when you're trying to create a really high quality, amazing event for people, to have a low quality picture that's been sent through. Perhaps you had it taken in your living room on the iPhone, so it's low resolution. Yeah, definitely invest in a good quality headshot. Have a think about your social media platforms and how you can elevate them. So we talked a bit about the LinkedIn bio before. So you want to keep your LinkedIn presence really professional, since it's quite a professional kind of network. But for Instagram, you can be a little bit more playful and fun, use emojis in your bio. You've only got a very short character description there. So, but yeah, you can have a bit of fun with it. Instagram is very much a kind of platform where it's a bit more relatable. You can document behind the scenes of what it's like to be a founder in your business, what it's like to be an entrepreneur. You can do some, you know, fun Instagram reels, or maybe put some memes up. It's very much a fun, playful, behind the scenes kind of platform. And that's the kind of content that gets a lot better reach on Instagram. The next thing I want you to consider having is a website. Now, obviously, I don't have to tell you that you need a website for your business, but it's actually really good to have a website for yourself as well. It basically acts as your portfolio. So for your website, your personal website, you can upload any blog articles you've written, the press that you've received. You can pop your headshots there, your media kit for people to download. And again, you can just talk a little bit more about your business. This can be a really great way to establish yourself as a professional. And also, when people are Googling you, your website will rank very highly in terms of the search engine optimization. So, you know, say someone's interested in you, perhaps they're a potential investor, a prospect client, they're Googling your name, your website will be one of the first things that will show. All right, so we're going to talk a little bit about the media now. We're going to talk a bit about public speaking, and then we're going to be finishing today's presentation with some top tips for social media and your personal brand. All right, so get to know the media. So again, I know that, you know, we're founders, we're startups, maybe we've got low budgets, we can't afford to work with a PR agency. So a good tactic to do is not only be creating the content for social media, but to make sure that you're following editors of relevant industry magazines or publications. Follow them on LinkedIn, connect with them, follow them on Instagram, like their pictures, comment, support them. And then what you'll do is they'll start to take notice of you, and they will start to see what kind of content you're posting. So this is all part of this inbound content marketing strategy that we discussed. So in regards to dealing with the media, follow and engage with them. Maybe you might want to contribute an article towards their magazine. So say, for instance, you might want to write an article for Entrepreneur magazine and share your opinion and send it across to them. You can pitch them new content ideas. And I think most importantly, take them out for a coffee, just be personable, invite them out for coffee or lunch or something like this. So then you can really start to build a relationship with them. Now, I know public speaking might give some of us the heebie-jeebies a little bit, but say yes to those small speaking engagements to start. So be a yes person, put yourself out there, even if it's delivering a small workshop or, maybe speaking on a podcast that is just starting up. Take this opportunity as a chance to work on your presentation skills, build your confidence, and practice sharing your stories. And then over time, what you'll find is that bigger opportunities will start to come your way, again, because you're putting this content out on social media. Now, if you do have an opportunity to deliver a keynote or to speak on a panel discussion, as I said at the start of our discussion, get one of your friends to film it using an iPhone so that you can put this back on social media, or you can put this back on your website. We want to have this online, offline PR approach with our personal brand. Over time, as you become more confident with your keynotes and your panels, you can start to build yourself out a media kit. So this could have your bio that we discussed, maybe some links to some YouTube videos of you speaking, some logos of the events that you've spoken at, and this will start help you land bigger opportunities. Something that you can also do for yourself as well, if you're feeling proactive, and I would definitely encourage you to do so, but say there is a conference or something happening in your region, and you think, man, I would just love to go and speak at that conference. Send in your bio and give it a shot. Have a look on LinkedIn or have a Google, see who the event organizers are, find their email address and send them in your bio. Trust me, it does actually work, to be honest. And that's very much how we sort of operate as a business. So send your bio out there. The more seeds you sprinkle, the more grass that will grow, okay? This is the farmer in me talking. All right, so I'm just going to be finishing up now with some personal branding trends. So Clubhouse, how many of you are on Clubhouse? So Clubhouse really took steam during the pandemic last year. So it's a very popular platform. It's basically an audio experience where lots of people can come together in rooms to talk. So have a look on Clubhouse, explore it, see what's there for you. Align with social cause or something that you really believe in. For instance, if you're really passionate about the youth, maybe ask a couple of universities if you can go down and speak to them. If you're big on sustainability and you've got a big sustainable part of your business, make sure that's really shining through on social media as well. Podcasting has become huge. So in 2020, there were over 155 million people listening to a podcast a week, okay? Now, podcasting can also be a really good business development strategy. So say, for instance, you're wanting to start a podcast and you've got the time and you feel really passionately about it, and it really will aid your personal brand. When you're reaching out to people, this can be a great way to build an initial relationship with them and get your foot in the door so that you can initiate a discussion. It's also really good from a digital marketing perspective and a social media marketing perspective, because say you're on somebody else's podcast, they'll be tagging you on social media, Or say someone comes to speak on your podcast, you'll be tagging them and it will go out to their entire network. So this can be a really great way to get in front of new eyeballs and to increase your brand awareness. LinkedIn. I love LinkedIn. I said this before. The algorithm is very free, okay? So make the most of the fact that when people like your content, it goes out to their entire network. So we're not kind of seeing this whole pay to play as we are on Instagram and Facebook. And believe me, over time, in about 2 years' time, the LinkedIn algorithm will start reducing. So really do make the most of this opportunity. Video content is becoming very big. So on Instagram recently, the founder of Instagram announced that they were very much going to start becoming a video platform. So you'll notice if you play around on LinkedIn that Instagram Reels, which is a new feature that was launched at the start of 2020, gets a heap more reach than if you just post a regular picture or a regular video. So really try and stick with, the social media, marketing trends. If there's a new feature on the platform, make the most of the opportunity. LinkedIn, for instance, has just released LinkedIn Stories. Not many people are uploading LinkedIn Stories yet, so that could be a really good place for you in order to start growing your brand and getting a few more eyeballs. As I've discussed multiple times in this presentation, you want to repeat your message, okay? So again, speak an event, put it on social media. It just works as a full 360 marketing strategy. Now, before I finish up, I just want to say to play to your strengths. So I've dropped a lot of tips on you today as to how you can build your personal brand. But the main thing I want you to take home from this discussion is the motivation just to start, okay? Starting is the hardest part. And from my experience of speaking to many entrepreneurs and CEOs and marketing professionals over the years is they'll come to me 3 years ago and they would have said, hi, I want to build my personal brand. And then they just don't do it. And then 3 years down the track, they're thinking, oh, I wish I just started 3 years ago when I had the time, or just started small. And I think that's the main thing. So start small, post once a week on LinkedIn even, or once a week on Instagram. It's better than doing nothing. And play to your strengths. So if you're a very good writer, write more. Or if you're very good at presenting on video, present on video more. Okay, so don't overwhelm yourself with all of this. So my closing tips today: set your goals. So think about who you are, how you want to be perceived. Know who your target audience is and create those audience personas. Share your story. Have that online, offline approach. Combine social media with the more traditional PR. And you are a business, so think like one. And then I popped my Instagram there. So if any of you want to get in touch with me, more than welcome to reach out to me on Instagram. And you can also find me on LinkedIn as well if you want to continue the discussion. Q&A time. So if you've got any questions for me, more than happy to answer them. It could be anything about, the personal branding, the PR, or the social media we discussed.
Thank you so much, Briar, for this very interesting and inspirational presentation. While we wait for questions to come in, there is one question here which is asking about the professional matrix. They said they want some more light on the professional matrix.
Sure, absolutely. So we've actually got a downloadable that we've created over the years at our agency, which I'd be very happy to share with everybody. You can download it for free off our website, or I can also send it out to you if we've got a way of sending it out to our panelists today. But it basically helps support you. It's got the personality matrix there, and it also has some other questions that can really get you thinking about your personal brand. And it's interactive, so you can fill it out. And then from this, it will help you kind of work out how you want to be positioned. But with the personality matrix, you've got one end of the spectrum, and then you've got the other end. So for instance, are you formal or are you friendly? Okay, and the idea is you think, okay, do I want to come across as really, really formal online, or do I want to come across a little bit more friendly, or somewhere in the middle? Okay, or there could be one which is traditional or disruptive. You know, do you want to come across as really disruptive or somewhere in the middle? So this can help you work out exactly how you want to be positioned. And then from this, you can consider how you're going to be writing or how you're going to come across online. So if you're more formal, you use quite sort of formal language, or if you're quite fun and funny and relatable, then you might use some emojis.
Thank you, Briar. We have Poonam Hariharan here who would like to ask questions, so we're going to let her ask you directly.
Fabulous.
Thank you. I really thank TiE and thank you, Briar. Wonderful opportunity, and it's so amazing to see women really driving growth for women. Really eternally thankful, because right now I also am a startup. We are basically India-based and particularly Mumbai-based. My company is Organic Amrit, which is basically focused on certified organic products. Pretty much for more than 13, 14 categories of, what you may need to really change your lifestyle overall. However, my question specifically is, as I built my, story, as I built my brand as a person, as a company, we are envisioning to be an ecosystem that connects the end consumer and makes the consumer more aware, more educated about safe and pure food, and farmers who are growing it. So, how do you advise we address the brand building and everything? Because I want to be as connected to the consumer as much as the farmers, and I need to weave a beautiful seamless ecosystem starting from production all the way to the consumer.
Okay, cool. So we're thinking about how we can start by creating this brand and how we can connect with your audience. Is that correct?
Yeah, it's actually because the audience is so versatile. Coming from the agriculture background yourself, I'm also an agriculture graduate and I belong to the hills. So I know that persona of customers, or rather the suppliers, or, the real key stakeholders is different from the consumer side of the story, who are health conscious, environment conscious, and those we're really looking at educating to be that. So there are two diverse ends that I'm trying to connect and, build as a brand in the center. How do you advise I address these two very diverse aspects?
I understand. So the nice thing about personal branding is that, over the years, we've worked with many founders who have had, 2 or 3 businesses, and they've had such diverse target audiences. Okay. And the nice thing is with your personal brand, kind of, it's the common denominator. So you've got all these different audiences and you are the common denominator. Now, right. The way that I would approach this is I would start by doing your company and your personal brand, sort of exploration, and think of your USP and the value that you bring to these different segments. And then I would create, sort of like the audience personas that we start. So one side, you've got the farmers, and then the other side, you've got these people and these people. And then I would think about all the different, perhaps social media platforms or media publications or events that you will find each of these, groups of people at. Because what works for one group of people isn't going to be the best way to speak to another group of people, as sort of you've realized. So maybe, I don't know, on one side, maybe there's lots of Facebook groups that have lots of these individuals as part of it. So you can join these Facebook groups and work out a Facebook strategy there. Maybe LinkedIn's the best place to communicate to the other group of people. So maybe you kind of segment your social media. So LinkedIn's all about connecting with investors. So you're a bit more sort of professional, investor driven or whatever. Then maybe Facebook's more about the farmers or whatever, because that's where they're active. So have a think about where you'll find these people. and sort of build out some little segments that way. Does that help?
Yes, currently all of these social handles are really geared towards branding because nobody knows us. But I do get some pointers as to, maybe I need to figure out the current ecosystem of those kind of readers from the farm community and things like that, and maybe start plugging in myself there rather than just being very brand thing. It's really connecting.
Yeah.
So yeah, I think I get that point. Thank you so much.
And you're welcome. And I think, just always think, okay, what challenges are these people facing that I can help solve, and I think that'll be, really helpful.
That's exactly where I want to get to. So that's exactly why I asked the question. Thank you so much.
Poonam, can you hear me?
Yes, I can.
I'm just thinking as Briar was answering the question, how do you communicate with the farmers currently?
At this juncture, we've just initiated it. We are in fact going to be meeting a group of 2,200 farmers in this month end. I'm just planning my strategies around how, because the whole basal idea of connecting to the farmers is not just to create this organic ecosystem, but also to disrupt the way everything is happening in the industry and the segment right now. Farmers are growing and they're doing stuff, businesses are happening, organic is growing the way they're growing, but I do feel that the farmer segment still needs a very deep level fix. And I'm just trying to find ways to get to that deep level problem and then fix it in a very disruptive manner. So it's going to be a physical meeting. It's going to be, calls because I'm positioned in Mumbai. So I'm planning to connect to farmers all over the country. We have a group of 300 farmers near Pune. So it's going to be weaving in all these farmers together in an ecosystem. It's still a very initial stage, but I really want to make my communication very effective so that the connect that I'm making with them is not a shallow business connect. I want to really connect to change, so my communication has to come across that way. And of course, it'll only be multiple dialogues that will bring out the problem and then help us find the solutions. But still, I want to be very honest, very natural. So that build up and that knowledge I needed to start now before I go meet them. And that's why I really liked what Briar said. I think maybe these ecosystems will feed me with what's going on and a good thermometer to really start, somewhere.
All the best, Poonam.
Thank you.
Wait, Shamima has a question. Shamima, your hand is raised.
Hi, I do have a question, but I see there's actually a Q&A. There's a question. Maybe we can answer that first and then I'll come to mine.
Okay, so Briar, we have a question here, which is how it's from Vaishnavi. I hope I'm saying the name right. It's how important is it to make up stories if you don't have a real one?
I think everybody has a story. And, I was speaking to somebody the other day and I was telling them something and they said to me, they were like, wow, that's a cool story. And I was like, is it? For me, it didn't even seem, like anything as such. So, what's interesting, I think sometimes with ourselves as well, we might have these stories that we don't think are really going to be interesting to people, but actually they are, and I think just, thinking about yourself, your experience, you can ask yourself some questions as well. So, what's been the biggest challenge you've ever faced in your life and how did you overcome it? Or, what did your first year of running a business teach you? So these are all kind of things you can ask yourself, and then you can maybe write down some answers and then think about how you will be sharing these stories moving forward.
Because Briar, I had a question that I'd written down related to this very question, which was to do with storytelling. I know it's a big part of all business and brands. What is your take on that? And it kind of links back to the last question, because I think it's a very important skill, isn't it?
It is, yeah. So, storytelling is also very, very important for businesses. You'll see that when businesses create social media content, and it starts with a story, it is a very good way to communicate the message, and it always gets lots more reach, and it really sticks with people as well. So I would, and it's an important part of sales at the end of the day too. When you're able to, when you're able to talk about a topic, but then give it a bit of a story and an experience and an example as to perhaps you're talking about one of your customers, and you can say, well, actually, I know someone who had a very similar problem to you, but through X, Y, and Z, this happened. So yeah, there's lots of different ways you can present stories. But I would, the way that I would approach it is I would sit down and have a think about all the questions that maybe people would ask me over the years, or some questions that the media might ask me, or a prospect client might ask me, or something like this, and then think about how I can pop my stories into this as well. But I think you've probably got lots of amazing stories already that that people would love to listen to. Yeah.
Okay, thank you. And then just related to this is when you're telling your story, you talked about authenticity. As personal brands, people need to be authentic, companies need to be authentic. I'd like you to expand a little bit about what is authenticity, and also touch upon another question related to TMI, which is too much information. Like in trying to be authentic, where is the cutoff? Where am I giving away too much information? Where should I hold back? But then by doing that, you lose the authenticity. So how does this all tie back together?
Yeah, really, really good questions from everybody. So with authenticity, so being authentic is essentially being yourself, and making sure that whatever you do in your life, it aligns with your core values inside, and who you sort of are as an individual, your experiences and all of this. But I agree, there is definitely a culture of sharing too much information online. And, a lot of the time sharing too much, it actually waters down your brand. That's the way I see it. So that's why, in today's presentation, we talked a lot about how we can stay relevant always. So we can ride off the back of trending news or events that people are talking about, or, an article that was just published in Forbes. We can link that article, talk about our own opinion and how it relates to the article. So we can really sort of stay relevant that way, because what I find is that people just talk for the sake of talking a lot of the time. And I really would encourage you, when creating your piece of content, have that content-driven approach, saying, is this giving value to my target audience? Am I entertaining, educating, or inspiring my target audience? Am I sharing something about my expertise, or, educating people as a thought leader? So I would definitely encourage you all to do this. And I think it's all just about having a bit of a balance. So like what we discussed, keeping it quite professional on LinkedIn, but then on Instagram, that's where you can put a bit more of your behind the scenes, fun stuff, you hanging out with your family, a picture of your cat, whatever. That's a good place for that kind of stuff. So really also just understand how, each of the social media platforms operate as well. Because some of the LinkedIn content you create will not do very well on Instagram. No one cares so much about, the really dry sort of professional stuff on Instagram. They're there to kind of relax and, they're scrolling through after work sort of thing.
Mm-hmm. Okay. Briar, I have a question from Marwa, and she writes in from Egypt. She says, if my business has no relation to create a personal brand for myself, do you think having a personal branding would really matter on the project progress? We own Thababi Garage. It is based in Egypt, and it provides all the products that mother and baby needs. Do I have to expose myself to social media or audience as the owner of the module and engage them to my stories, life?
Yeah, really good question. And, with something like this, you don't have to, show the world everything. So what I would encourage you to do is to build your personal brand around your company. So say, for instance, you have a team day out where you all go and, you have a morning tea together. Take a picture of that, and you and your team put it on social media. Maybe you're featured in a publication or something, put that on social media. Maybe you announce a new product launch, put that on social media and talk about how great the product is, or whatever. So, you can really kind of you can use your personal brand as a way to amplify what you're already doing in your organization. And something I would definitely encourage organizations doing. So if you're, listening to this and you work on a marketing team for a company, it would be really great if you identified some key stakeholders within the organization or some, interesting people, and you create some more personal content for your company's channel as well, because we call this employee activism. So basically you'll be tagging in your team, giving them kudos and all of that, and then it goes out to their entire network. So it's very much seen as a good way to position yourself as a company, because you're talking about your team, you're giving everyone kudos. It seems like a great place to work. This can help attract more talent. So yeah, the personal content, content that has people in it gets 20% more engagement. If it's an Instagram post and you have a person in it, it gets 20% more engagement. If you have a LinkedIn post and it has a team in it or people in it, it gets 20% more engagement. So yeah, do keep that in mind. Make all your content quite personal.
Thank you.
Now, Shabana.
Sorry, Shamima. Yeah, you have a question. Yeah.
Yes, that's right. Brian, thank you so much. It was really very useful for, I think, the audience and for myself as well. So our ecosystem is mostly majority of early stage entrepreneurs. And they are just setting up a company. They are trying to get funding. They're trying to get a business running, getting their products out there, getting customers. How much time do you suggest that they allocate to the personal branding, because they're handling quite a lot at this time? And could you just give them an idea of, in terms of data, what's the benefit that they would get in being able to use personal branding to reach their business objectives?
Yeah, really, really good questions. And I've been a first-time entrepreneur before. I know that everything demands your attention, and there's only an infinite amount of time that you have. I would definitely encourage you to be doing one LinkedIn post a week, okay? Because especially you might be out there, you're looking for investors, you're looking for customers. This is part of your marketing of your business. This is part of your marketing to get new customers and new investments, okay? So one LinkedIn post a week. I think if you can write a LinkedIn article a month, that would be really good. But again, if you don't feel like you have the time and capacity initially, just focus on doing 4 LinkedIn posts per month. I perhaps wouldn't worry so much about Instagram. I would put all my focus on LinkedIn, but it really depends on your audience. If you're more of a consumer type business, then Instagram would be really good for you. If you're more sort of B2B, then I wouldn't bother with Instagram, to be honest, and I would just focus mainly down this path. And I would also as well just work on at least getting my brand set up looking good, so having that, getting that headshot, writing your bio properly. So then when, you are doing outreach, maybe you get asked to deliver a workshop or speak on a panel, you can send it across to them and you're good to go. Yeah, sorry, I can't remember the second half of the question that you asked. Oh, what can they expect? Yeah, exactly. What can they expect? Yeah, so like with anything, the best personal branding is when you're consistent, okay? Because we all know that even if you're marketing your business, you don't just create a couple of social media posts, send it out, and then it's all going to go viral and, all of that. So it might do, you might be really lucky, but chances are you're going to have to be consistent with it. So stick with something achievable. So those 4 LinkedIn posts or something, so that you really don't get burnt out and you have something that you can stick to over time and be consistent and keep posting. But, I would say allow yourself, I would allow yourself a good year, to really get out there and get it going. And I think after you build your brand consistently for a year, that's when you can expect to have more panel opportunities coming in. Maybe you could have that outreach approach as well. Be diligent, send yourself into your favorite podcast or send yourself into the event or reach out to people on LinkedIn. One of our clients, actually, he reached out to he's been following this guy on LinkedIn for ages and just loved, what he's all about, sustainability and green tech and all of this. And he's got a very successful podcast. He just sends him a little LinkedIn message being like, hey, would love to speak on your podcast. Do you have any room for me? And the guy replied actually saying, oh, Briar's team's already organized your appearance. But, it's just, you can really, the more people you reach out to, the more relationships you build, the more clients you get and all of this. So yeah, I think don't be afraid to put yourself out there ever.
Thank you.
Thanks, Briar. There's a question I have related to, a lot of, as Shamima said, most of the, participants here are startups and they're sort of at the early stage of their business setup. And you said something very interesting about investors invest in people, not just in your financials and your performance. And a lot of these startup owners and founders are required to do presentations and, do business pitches, investor pitching. So how does the personal branding help there? And what are the things you think investors are looking for during these pitches from these founders and owners?
Oh, really, really good questions. Yeah. So, investors do invest in people. They invest in the talent of the team. If they think that the company is going to be successful, a lot of the time it's because they think the founder has what it takes to be successful. So, the things that would come, your personal brands that would come into your investment pitches are things like how you present. It's things like your story. A good investor pitch always starts with a bit of a story. It explains the challenge, the problem that you're trying to solve, and then how you come into it. So when you're coming up with an investor pitch, I think it's really important to spend time practicing it, get really confident in it. The thing that we say with our clients when it comes to, public speaking is that it's all practice at the end of the day. You've got to, even people who present in front of audiences of like 2 million people and they make it sound really natural and stuff, they've practiced and practiced and practiced. So, and they just make it sound like they're just saying it off the cuff. So think of these business stories, think of these client testimonials, think of your story and how it will relate to people. And I think just make sure you pull together a really easy, understandable presentation for them, and just keep it quite short and sweet, because then the investors are going to ask you questions, and that's a really good opportunity to deep dive into things a little bit more specifically.
Okay, Briar, thank you very much. We don't have any more questions. Does anyone, Shamima or Aparna, do you have any questions or anything to say?
I don't have any more questions, but just thank you so much, Briar. We really appreciate your time and your contribution to TiE Women.
Thank you, Briar.
Thank you so much for having me.
Thank you so much, Briar. And can people get in touch with you if they have any questions? How?
Absolutely, yeah. So you're all welcome to reach out to me on LinkedIn. So you'll find my profile on LinkedIn. If you want to download that personal branding guide that I discussed, it's a 6-page guide. It's got, all kinds of questions, so you can fill it out and start to pull together your strategy. You can go to our website, and it's just on the front page as soon as you land on the website. So you're more than welcome to grab that there. I can see if I can send it out to your emails as well. Or you can find me on Instagram. So you just need to type my name in, and I will pop up. And happy to connect and chat, and look forward to meeting you.
Thank you very much, Briar. Take care. All the best.
See you later.
Bye-bye.